first, I would like to thank Nay for inviting me onto her platform. Me and Nay met each other actually when I moved to California. We both were the up north girl. She was from Boston and I was from New York, and we worked with a program to help decrease the high school dropout crisis in South Central LA. And we were roommates for my first year living out in California. So we lived in a house with about, what was that, 8 girls?
Oh, 6 of us.
Oh,
all
6.
together.
It felt like 8.
8?
It was
wow, right. That would have been
it was a lot. But that experience was definitely that experience helped mold me. But we that's how I met Nay. So that's where I know her from. And we just kind of continued the relationship from there. And that was back in 2013. So thank you, Nay, for inviting me onto your new platform that you have so I can discuss my own stuff that I got going on with me. Hello, ladies. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. My name is Rhashida Brown. People call me Sheeta. And I am born and raised from New York, but I currently live down in South Carolina. I recently moved a year ago down here with my newborn baby. I'm going to be looking at my phone. I have some notes because Nay sent like a little list of questions just to kind of introduce ourselves and some things about us. So if you see me peek down, it's just because I'm peeking at the question real quick. Hold on one second. Let me pull it back up. Give me one moment. Okay. So hometown and city. Like I said, I am from Harlem, New York, but I've lived everywhere. If you know me, you know I'm like a little nomad. I've lived in Baltimore, Maryland. That's where I got my bachelor's degree in social work from. I moved to Florida for a year. Then from Florida, I moved to California, where I met Nay. We worked in the high school together. And from there, I did graduate school. I continued in Los Angeles at USC, where I had my master's degree in social work. Relationship status is one of the questions. I recently got engaged, so I am engaged.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I got engaged last Mother's Day, so it's actually about to be a year coming up. I didn't really get to celebrate with COVID and everything going on, so I didn't have an engagement party or anything, but best to believe, when I do, it's going to be wonderful.
Oh, and she's telling the truth. I went to her baby shower. It was like 300 people.
How many children do I have? I have 1. She's 1 year old. She's going to be 2. I still consider myself a new mommy. I'm still getting used to it. People are like, oh, you're not a new mommy anymore because she's almost 2. No, new mommy is whenever I feel like, look, I'm still a new mommy. I'm still adjusting. I think I'm still growing, going through it. Future children, I don't know. That's up in the air for me. I have a bonus baby. She is 13 years old. And I have my daughter. She's 1 going on 2. I do want to have another one because I do feel like they're so far apart in age. I want her to have somebody to play with and kind of mingle with. But I look at my baby and she looks like she's having fun by herself all the time. So it just makes me say, why do I have to go through another 40 hours of labor when she looks like she's enjoying herself? So, but no, seriously, I grew up, I'm a twin. I don't know what it's like to grow up by yourself. And I would hate I can spoil you her with all the love, but I think going through life with a sibling, she has a sibling who's 13, but someone closer in age with her, I think it'll just be a different type of bond. So the question was future children. I don't know how many in the future I want, but maybe 1 more, possibly, not too sure. Don't hold me to it. Why did you create your own business? Okay, so the name of my program and my brand is called Blossom Brown Beauty. Blossom Brown Beauty was created, me being a mental health professional and social worker, because I saw that there was a need for us to discuss mental health within a Black community, especially among our young Black girls. I used to work with ACS. I've worked with a lot of different social work agencies, and the amount, like the increase in suicide rates within Black children was beyond me. I just couldn't wrap my mind around what was going on, and the services that, or the resources that were provided, were not always targeted to the Black youth. There was a major gap in the providers, the Black providers, and the children. Like there was not a lot, and the ones that they did have, they were not accessible. So I wanted to kind of do something for the youth to help my community, point blank period. I wanted to do something to help my community. It wasn't enough for me to say like, oh, that's sad, another Black girl is dying. Like, I just felt like I can empathize for how long. I can, give my condolences. I can give my heartfelt speeches, but like, it wasn't enough for me. Like, I needed to do more. And I've always been, I am very empathetic. So I feel things very strongly in my heart. So when something happens, it just kind of pulls at my heartstrings. So I wind up creating Blossom Brown Beauty, and it is exactly what it sounds like, Blossom Brown Beauty. Like, every time people are like, how did you come up with that name? I'm like, it's ironic because my last name is Brown too. I wasn't even thinking about like, oh, my name is Brown, let me put that. But it was just more of me wanting to target, Black children, Black youth, and me wanting to give back something that I didn't have, a resource I didn't have for me when I was a child, because I went through, different things as a young Black girl growing up in Harlem, and I didn't feel like anybody could kind of understand my plight or kind of get me. Granted, I was able to overcome those things, but everybody isn't me. Everybody doesn't have that same type of resilience. Everybody is not able to bounce back from whatever it is that they go through. And for me, being a young Black girl in Harlem, both my parents died early on. Like, society says I was supposed to be a statistic. I was supposed to, be a young mother. I was supposed to, and it's nothing wrong with young mothers, but, I had all odds stacked against me. So again, I just kind of wanted to create a program to just be a resource for my community. It's tricky with these type of programs and brands like this because you're not getting, like, I didn't have any funding or anything like that. Like, so you're not getting money for this. You are literally just kind of doing it all on your own, and I can apply, like, even me applying to grants, it gets tricky because when they hear the words, like I said, my target was specifically Black girls, Black youth, girls of color. Grants want you to be inclusive. They want you to target everybody. And I didn't want to water down what I was doing, but it felt like at one point I had to, but I had to stick with my vision and my goal of, no, this is what I want. This is like, this was my baby. This was my grandchild. Like, I'm like, I had a vision for Black youth, and decreasing the stigma around mental health in our Black communities. Why do I have to water it down? Why do I have to be inclusive to other races? Other races aren't inclusive to Black people. So why do I have to? And it just kept, why? And I started feeling defeated. I'm not gonna lie. It was just like I spoke with you previously about this, Nay, like this day, like with the program, we did it on Saturdays. Once a week, I would do different workshops, different things. And Ishanna, actually, her partner, he was a dance choreographer for my program, and he did it free of charge. He loved dance. I wanted him to, because that was his passion. He kind of hopped on board, and he came and he gave free dance classes for the girls, ballet classes, hip hop, different things on Saturdays, free of charge. And literally all you had to do was show up. We would pay for the room, the studio, people would RSVP, and some days it would be one girl who showed up. And I'm like, why would you RSVP if you know, or even if, you know, things happen, say, hey, sorry, this week I can't come, because it would be times like we would rent out the biggest studio. Again, this is not grant money. This is coming from my pocket. So the biggest studio for one girl, why did we just waste $50 for a Saturday? Like, you know, that $50 could have went in our pocket. Like, people have rent, people have everything, but I kept saying, stay committed to the vision. She just stay committed to the vision. And our numbers would fluctuate, you know, and I used to get so defeated because I'm like, I'm trying to help y'all. I'm like, I got this is free knowledge I'm trying to give to my people. And I just felt like people were not, I'm like, what is the matter? And it was sickening because, again, as I'm doing this, more and more young girls, I'm hearing stories, different stories, more people committing suicide, more. And I'm like, I'm giving you keys. I'm giving you, like, we did yoga. I had a yoga instructor, and I was, you know, I know how to network. So I'm pulling from, I met a yoga instructor. Hey, come join, yada, yada, yada. She came, we did a mommy and me and daddy. I even included the dads. Dads, come do this yoga, get, you know, and it was a beginner's class. It wasn't something, you know, I went and I started getting donations. I bought brand new yoga mats for everybody just because I said, you know what, I don't want it to be like, oh, we got to use hand-me-downs. So, like, I want my girls to have the best of the best. Even if you're a new blossom who's coming to my program, like, I want you to get the full experience. Why is it that, you know, our counterparts are able, you can go to schools, their physical fitness gym classes, they have yoga incorporated inside of these programs. I didn't learn about yoga until I became an adult. Like, we can start teaching our children grounding exercises, yoga and meditation at a young age. Why aren't we exposed to the same thing? So I said, you know what? I'm not going to ask no questions about why we not exposed. I'm going to be the solution. Can you go? Var is annoying. He's walking past like get out.
Just checking on his fiance.
No. But I was just so, you know, like Blossom, I don't want to keep this too long. Blossom Brown Beauty is my brainchild. It is here to give back. Right now, we are under rebranding because I moved, like relocating, and like, I don't know anybody really out here. I know my fiance's mother, but like for the younger crowd. So I'm now using, how can I say this? I'm now basically rebranding the program for it to look different. Like, I'm able to reach people, but I'm gonna do like virtual instead of like, I'm not in New York, but I still want, like, the vision is still the same. I'm just kind of reconstructing different things. I have a book that's gonna, my first children's book that's gonna be released in a few weeks. And it's about Blossom Brown Beauty. So I'm doing things where I won't basically overexhaust myself, overwhelm myself, and still keep the vision concise without kind of stretching myself thin. So I noted, like, and one thing that I can say too, the most challenging thing about like starting that brand and stuff is I put too much expectations in people. Like, if I'm doing this for me. Well, I'm doing it because this was a promise that was placed on my heart. Like, this is my brainchild, but I can't expect people, like, and Var kind of helped me with this too. Like, I used to get so like, why they not supporting? Like, you'll get more likes before you release your stuff than while you're doing it. People gonna say they're gonna buy, they're gonna support. My brand launch, I had a fundraiser for Blossom Brown Beauty. It was a mental health fundraiser, and it was basically the funds that I raised was supposed to help support, like, fund this vision. So because so many people were like, oh, this vision is dope, yada, 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 I'm gonna support you. I used my own money and I rented out a venue because I'm like, everybody seems to be on board. I rented out this whole big venue. And it was, again, a mental health brunch fundraiser. The tickets were $60. So you got brunch, you got food, champagne, and it was me basically talking about, you know, my vision, the statistics, like a bunch of information on mental health and how it's affecting the Black community. And then the girls who I was working with, Corey, Mr. C, who's the choreographer, he taught them a dance, and they basically performed the dance and the choreography at the brunch. I probably had at this brunch, the place held 250 people. I probably had 40 people attend, and half of the people who came were like some of the Blossom's mothers, and it wasn't like a lot of outside. There were some outsiders, but most of it were, you know, like a few people I knew. So that right there, like I lost a lot of money because I was like, go for the biggest room. I'm going to get the venue. So many people believe. It was not what I thought it would be. It was a learning experience, but I do want to say with the startup of a brand or a business, start small. You know, a lot of times you with the startup, because you don't have any funds. I mean, you have what you have to be resourceful, but don't go all out. Like, granted, we want to go high, we want to reach, the sky is the limit, but you don't want to and even that, I wanted the brand launch to kind of get my name out there. Don't do that. Marketing, I feel like you can market yourself, but I wouldn't go with a big shebang at the beginning. I think you have to build up, and I thought I built up my audience, but it wasn't what I thought it was. So, yeah, I would just say with starting a business or anything, don't have expectations, and a lot of the people that will support you may be strangers, and that's okay.
But when you had that experience with your big event, how did that make you feel? Or even not just that event, overall starting your business, did you go through any kind of depression, anxiety, or like low self-esteem? Like, it was me, it's because of me, you have to be popular, you know, look at all these people with 2 million followers, you know, is it my personality? How did you cope? And I'm speaking from experience myself. Sometimes I think that, like, dang, is it because I'm not popular enough? I'm not cool enough, you know, I'm not hip, you know, like, what is it? How do we get over things like that and keep the encouragement to keep going? Like, how do we get that motivation?
For me, it was more like, I felt like I knew I didn't have a big follow. Like, even at, like, right now, Blossom Brown Beauty has 450 followers. But to me, I feel like from where I came from, I'm like, let's go, be big. Like, it's been like a roller coaster. There's days that I could get one like, but I'm gonna keep posting. Y'all gonna see this on here because somebody's gonna see it. Like, you know, the point of my like branch out was to impact somebody's life, whether it's 1, 2, 3, somebody's gonna feel it. It might not vibe with everybody, but somebody gonna feel this. And I just feel like during that time, like, I was defeated a lot, and especially when I got pregnant, I'm like, yo, the studio that we had that I would rent out, we have to walk up them steps. So I'm walking up these steps, and one person is in this class. I'm like, why I walked up these steps? Like, I'm pregnant. By this time, I'm pregnant. So I'm like, I'm using this money. Like, mama, this money could be going to my baby. This money could be, because basically now I feel like you're taking money out of my baby's mouth. I'm putting all of this stuff in, but I had to keep saying to myself, like, this is the vision that God placed on my heart. Keep going. Like, it's days that I'm like, I don't want to do this, like, because it does get like, what? And then it's a lot of stuff that I post, like, I could see somebody else, they could say something similar, but they have a bigger following. So people like, yeah. And I'm like, I said the same thing 10 months ago. Yeah. Why is this? I'm like, this is not new. I've said this already. Like, this is not new stuff, but I just, honestly, somebody gonna vibe with your stuff. I just say, keep going. Like, it's not always gonna be easy. And especially with having your child, it's so easy, or children, it's so easy for you to say, like, yo, I could be focusing on my kid right now. Like, there's been so many times I'm like, I want to get off social media. I don't care about, but these platforms too, like, that's another thing. Like, you know how many times I want to delete my page or just say, like, look, I don't want but I have to keep like that's the way for me to kind of, especially now we live in a digital age, like everybody, you can click something and somebody can find you. And all of the people that I kind of said before, there was so many people like, oh, I'm gonna support you, and then they disappear. Like now I had like, they like, yo, I love what you're doing. I'm like, shut up. What do you mean you love what I'm doing? You've never done, and support to me, support is not always monetary. I keep trying to tell people, you could share this resource. Maybe you have, I'm pretty sure you have people on your freaking page who have daughters, you have nieces, you have all of these things. So I'm like, sharing is not, support is not, people always think that it's financial. Like, you don't have to support me that way. You can share posts, bring some, viewers over to my page. And absolutely. I'm not in it for popularity. Like, I'm trying to impact lives. Like, y'all could keep I want people to actually like understand mental health, like what this is. But I don't know. I just feel like at the end of the day, you just got to keep going. You got to keep going, keep pushing. It's hard. There's days where you gonna be discouraged, but get back up. Like, some days you may not post. All right, get back to it the next day. Every day is not gonna be a good day. There's days that you may want to just lay in a bed. Like I said, today I wasn't productive at all. I mean, I'm productive now because I'm online, right. But I mean, I put like a few posts, but that's not always like, I have other goals that I'm trying to like get towards. But again, I don't want to keep this long because I'm just rambling right now. But
no, we appreciate it. I appreciate you sharing that. And I think it goes back to, like how you said we met doing a program in Cali. And one of the things I remember us learning was that starfish story. And you remember this story when they saying, why are you throwing all these starfish in the water? It's so many, you're not going to save all of them. And the man said, well, it makes a difference if I save one. He's right. Like, there's so many starfish on the sand. He's not going to get to all of them. Some of them are going to die out. But it makes a difference that he saved a few. And that's why I feel like Sheeta is saying, keep pushing yourself no matter how many people is on your video, how many people is buying from your products, like how many people. Don't think about the quantity, think about the quality. And that sometimes I think that's where we get sidetracked in, is we think about the quality, because we see all these people with 240 million followers or 100,000 followers, and we're like, whoa, but it's really not that authentic. What people don't know is that some people are actually paying for their followers. And so when you see somebody who has 100,000 followers but only 40 likes, that's because the 40 is from the people who actually know them and care to be following and looking at their posts.
And I just put up a post today, and I said, don't let the internet dictate your confidence and self-esteem. People be on here comparing people's lives. I said, all of this stuff is calculated. These people on here, I said, everything people post is calculated. Like, don't compare yourself to what somebody else got going on, because you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know what they had to do to get there either. And I said, that's why I don't question other people's blessings as well. I don't know what it took for them to get to where they are. So maybe tomorrow, like, who knows, say a famous celebrity or somebody sees Blossom Brown Beauty tomorrow, but I've been doing, and it blows up, but I've been doing Blossom Brown Beauty for 3.5 years. But to other people, they're like, yo, she just blew up, so it looks like an overnight success. It's not. I've been doing this. I've been in, prior to Blossom Brown Beauty, I've been a social worker since 2012. That's almost over 10 years now. So I've been doing the work. I've been doing in the trenches, but before I had a name or a title behind me. So people are like, oh, she just started. No, I did not just start doing this. So we can't question what other people have been doing. Ishanna is an educator. She just started her business as well, but she's been educating these babies for how long? People will see like, oh, well, it's a new business. No, it's not. I've been doing the work. I've been doing this stuff, but people are just now kind of getting hit to what you're doing, And
I think it's the filter as well. And that's why I appreciate you all coming on and sharing your story, because most of the time people are just seeing the filtered part. They see a picture that's perfect in their eyes, but do you know what it took to get that picture to be perfect? you know, so don't fall into the perfect picture. Do understand that filter is the process. Obama didn't wake up and just be president. You know, it took him some time to get there. And that's where some people feel to realize, like, he worked hard. That's why he's telling his story. That's why his wife's telling her story. Everyone's telling their story to show you that you could be down at the bottom and make your way up. And it don't start overnight. You have to let the process go and then you'll get there, but you got to be consistent. So again, I appreciate you all telling your raw truth, because a lot of the time we are looking at celebrities and we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. We just think, oh my gosh, they just living the best life. When no, they're stressing. Like, I remember Cardi B saying, like, this is a hard life to be a celebrity. So I do appreciate that. This raw truth. This is ordinary people. We went to school together. We worked together. We're seeing how we're thriving, how we are maintaining. It's not easy, especially during a pandemic. So I definitely thank you all for sharing. Let's see, Gena, tell us a little bit about who you are, what's going on with you.
Question. So I'll kind of start too with how I know Shenaya. We worked together. That was a rough time in both of our lives, I'm sure. We worked as foster care case managers, and I think I want to say like the first day we found out we had to do like a hotel stay or something, and I'm like, okay, who looked cool? And so I just picked Shenaya, and then I was like, okay, we rooming, whatever, like that. That was it.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know that. I'm telling you, I thought like I was the corny one out the crew all the time.
No, I was like, who looked cool? And okay, and so we was cool like ever since with work. But that job, I think both of us, I'll get there because that goes into like why I started. But so my name is Gena Stringer, and I actually was born, I forget this, in Evansville, Indiana. But my mom moved me back to St. Louis when I was like some months. So I've never even seen what that place even looked like. So I currently still live in St. Louis. I got my bachelor's from Lincoln University of Missouri, which is the HBCU, and I got my master's in public administration from SIUE over in Illinois this last year, actually in July. So, like I said, when I met so right now what I do is community health work here in St. Louis for one of our bigger children's hospitals. And how I ended up getting there is because the job that me and Shenaya was in, like I was like depressed at that place. Like foster care case management is like gotta be one of the hardest jobs out there, because people think you're just taking their kids, especially if they don't get, between the case manager and the investigator. Because I didn't come in and take, your kids. And so and then I got to the point to where I didn't always agree with why kids were taken. Like a mom would do, this or couldn't pay this or couldn't do that. And it's like, okay, is that a reason to take the kid or to put an intervention into place? And then I was seeing, white kids get taken too, but I was seeing so many Black kids were being taken for the smallest things. But I would see white people out here, messing it up. And long as the meth is put up on the shelf and the kids can't reach it, then, oh, okay, well, we're going to put some interventions in place. Help this mom out so much, because to me, you're the kid's caseworker. You're supposed to be for the child. But what about this mom? Like, I'm working with her, and it's almost like I'm a double agent, because, I'm doing these visits and I'm sitting with her and she's telling me stuff and she's confiding in me. But then I got to go write this report, and I may have to write some bad things about mom that she won't like. And so it's just, that didn't make sense. So I had to get out of that. So that's how I ended up. I was in this program. I had got pregnant during that time at that job, and I've gotten this program that I work for now. And basically I had a parent educator. I don't know if people heard of parents as teachers or whatever. They're pretty much everywhere. And so they opened up a new thing called community health work. And my main job is to work with mothers. So I'm like, okay, well, I would like to stop mothers from even ever getting to the point of getting their children taken. So if I can prevent that from ever happening, then that'll be better than doing this, because this part is depressing. So let's see if I can do some intervention. So I ended up getting a job, moved over, and basically now what I do for my job is I focus on the mom and helping her navigate through the system. And what is it that's stopping you from being like that A1 parent that you want to be? Is it transportation in St. Louis? And sometimes I feel like I'm not doing much because we don't have a lot of resources here. Like some of the other places are like light years ahead of St. Louis and Missouri with resources. Like, you know, we're just behind. I don't know if it's like there is a lot of racism and segregation here. I don't know if, I mean, that's probably a good reason why, but we're just very behind. So I try as much as I can, you know, can I, you know, food banks, you know, if I have to go pick up clothes, can I get on Facebook and get donations collected for these moms? And so all of that, and then with being pregnant, so I have like really bad, and I don't know why, like nothing will be going on, but whenever I'm pregnant, like I just get, especially towards the end, like I feel like I have these depression like eras, and it's like no one's doing anything to me. Like my husband is the nicest person in the world. Like it's kind of annoying how nice and chipper he is, but I just get into these like sad moments, and I've never had like any postpartum, and I mean we all have those hard days, you know, after the baby, but like during pregnancy, I would just be so sad for no reason. And like people never talk about like pregnancy and having a baby is like almost like a condition. Like people just like, oh, you're so cute, you had a baby, but that changes you mentally and physically, especially if you do it more than once. So like with my son, like in college, I was a dancer, so like my body was together. Like I thought I was like killing it. I used to wear my little waist beads then, like I was in shape. So he came, okay, I, you know, was able to get back cool, okay. This daughter comes, I mean, and she just completely hated on me. Like, and people will be like, oh, you look fine because I'm still a small frame. I'm like, y'all not seeing under this shirt, like, because I'm not out here wearing a two-piece because I'm, you know, covered up. Like, y'all ain't seeing what's really going on. So I'm like, people do not talk about how much pregnancy and having a baby, like, mentally is like, it's crazy. Like, my memory is so bad. Like, all that stuff is true when you have more than one kid. Like, your memory goes. I go upstairs and like, dang, what was I gonna do? Like your memory go, it's and no one talks about it. And so after her, I was just kind of bored. I've always made my own waist beads, and I made them because like my body was completely different after her. Like my stomach just was not, but I also did not feel like working out. Like after my son, I think I dropped him, did my little 6 weeks, and I was ready to, you know, whatever. But after her, I had no motivation. I got 2 kids now. And yeah, I would like to get back, you know, and I probably could, but like, I don't feel like it. And so I made some beads just to kind of cover and just kind of to feel a little like myself again. And I'm like, it's probably so many moms who feel like this, and people who see waist beads only on somebody who's like this big, you know, they see them on Instagram, they got no clothes on. And it's like, well, they're not the only ones who wear waist beads, because traditionally African waist beads, when you look over in Africa, they thick. They got it all going on. That is not traditionally what it looks like. So I was like, let me just make a strand. I just made a random strand and posted it on Facebook one day because my cousin kept saying, you should just sell them. I'm on maternity leave. I'm not doing anything else. And I posted it, and I got so many people saying that they would purchase. I'm like, okay, well, let's just see how this goes. So I made a like Facebook page or Instagram page, and a lot of people, like you said, who were saying like, well, I would support, maybe a few of them did, but then nobody here in St. Louis supported. But all of a sudden, people from other states who were just randomly finding me started making orders. So then I started like shipping orders to like Texas, and I mean to a billion places. A Delta found me, and she wanted to start selling them to her sorority sisters, and she wanted me to be like a wholesaler for her. So like I started getting my support from people who were, I had never even met this lady. Like she just found me randomly. It is so cold down here now. But so that's pretty much what started it all, was just me feeling as if, you know, to give mom something. A lot of people make waist beads, and I think that's me trying to find my groove in it and to get more sales. A lot of people are like burning sage and crystalline and praying, and I'm like, that is just, if that's what you're looking for in a waist bead provider, it's not me. And like, so and that's not, you know, everybody has their own person they pray to. You know, I'm Christian, I believe in God, and I'm not going to be praying to whoever over beads to make sales. I can't do it. Sage to me, I don't even know why that smells. So I'm not going to be saging beads and doing all of that because that's just not who I am. So trying to find like my niche, and it has been difficult because that's the trend of them right now. Everybody who makes them is saging them and praying and doing this, and they have all these meanings that I'm like, I'm not even creative enough to even try to come up with nothing like that. So, but it has been, it's grown. I think it's almost 2 years now. Like the first year I was strictly doing it on social media. And I'm not a good social media person either. Like she was saying, some weeks, or it's like a few weeks in a row, I'm posting, I'm doing really good. And then sometimes I'm just like, I really don't feel like posting, or I post, like, I don't feel like looking for hashtags and thinking that hard about what hashtag is going to get my page seen. Like sometimes I don't want to think that hard to, attract people. It gets kind of annoying that you have to do all of that. But it's so, and so when you were talking about like vibing with your brand, I get people who just write me randomly wanting to, because I've seen people, and not like I have the best beads in the world or like all my designs are just it, but I have seen some terrible waist beads on Instagram. So I'll type it in a hashtag and like kind of just look and kind of see what people are doing, get inspiration if there's, because I take class, I'm still a student of my art. So if there's a class out there or somebody's going live, I'll watch it, because if you're been doing this longer than me, then you know something that I don't know. And I think oftentimes we get so in competition with people who do the same thing as we do that we stop trying to learn. And I will go on people's lives and take notes if they're giving out that, those nuggets. This other lady has a very successful business, only been doing it 3 years, and she's teaching for Michael's. So that's a big, Michael's is like this white, store, craft store, and she's bringing waist beads and doing classes on their website for people. So that's really big. And I took plenty of her classes, but every time she has one, I'm on there because I don't know if she's going to say something new this time. So I still, and like her beads are beautiful, but as I'm searching and like looking at people and just seeing people do it, I've seen people who have, I'm like, who is wearing that? Because that is not cute. But because they've been on there and they have this big following, they get sales. And I be confused, but a lot of them I think is personality and care, and people seeing like who you are, and that just coming out. So I think just being authentic to yourself. And I think eventually, like I just can't change who I am or what I believe or how I do things to fit a narrative to sell more. So that's nothing I've been, into. But then I saw this meme this guy made that was just like, you get like 30 likes and you're disappointed or less. And he was like, and that doesn't sound like 30 likes isn't a lot because it's social media. But if I was in a room talking and 30 people showed up or 40, I would be nervous as heck, because that's a lot of people when you think about it in that way. Social media, we think these big numbers and these huge numbers because, it does spread out across and, but if you were in a room doing this, that would be a good turnout for some people, a lot of people, especially depending on how you are with your anxiety and talking. So I always think about that and thought that was good. Like one person likes my post, if I make a sale only once a week, then at least it is growing. What else did you have on here? Oh, yeah, I did.
So you talked about being sad when you was pregnant. So during all of this, how did you cope? Did you ever go through therapy or journal? What helped you get through this and keep pushing?
So with my daughter, it was funny. Because I think with my son, I was like, oh, they tell you like that's pregnancy, your hormones, you're gonna, everything's up and down and you're sad and then you're happy. So you're like, oh, okay, whatever. So with my daughter, I'm like, well, what am I just sad and happy for? Because they tell us this stuff, this is gonna happen to you when you're pregnant. And we just take that because the people before us are saying it who were pregnant. And it's like, but why? I get hormones and all that, but we're women and we have menstrual cycles. We're always hormonal. So why am I just sitting here sad with no reason? And so with my daughter, who's my second child, this lady here wanted to do a documentary on birth. And I didn't realize that I was traumatized from my son and how I was forced into a C-section until she wanted to interview people. So I'm like, okay, well, cool, I'll do it. And when she started asking me questions about my birth, because I did a midwife for my daughter. And so I just wanted to do it just, because I heard that it's better. And so I realized like I was really traumatized from that and how it's kind of forced, how things are rushed. And so she gave me a journal because she wanted me to journal my journey so that she could put it in the documentary. And so that did help because I was like, oh, I really did need to write some things down about feelings because I didn't even really know that I was feeling it. So I guess it was stuff that was happening when I was like, there wasn't a reason. So I guess there was reasons, but they were like kind of, I don't want to say small because they're still valid, but they were just kind of things that I never thought about. Like, oh, okay, I feel like this because this happened or this small thing, or I'm thinking about this from the past. So journaling did help. I didn't do any therapy. I do have a lot of close friends that I would talk to, like be open to be like, you know, this is how I feel today, or this is what's going on. But that's kind of how I went through it. But that was more towards the last few months of pregnancy that I got into that with her and started dealing with that. And I did feel better. I think once I started feeling better about my team, like my doula and the midwife I had and my care team, I started to kind of feel better. I didn't feel that as much anxiety and all of that stuff anymore. And then I started doing the beads. Well, I had made beads for myself in college and before when I began doing them for other moms, just to, you know, and not only for moms, for women in general. But I began that after I had her, when she was probably like a month, when I was just at home with idle hands. And I just kind of wanted to make women feel, you know, we go through a lot of changes, even women who don't have babies. You just go through changes. I mean, you turn 30 and then like your body just breaks down and you like, well, what the hell? What happened that quick? Like I was just pop, lock, and drop it. And now I'm over here back hurt struggling. So I just wanted to give women something to make them feel, you know, not to like cover up any imperfection, but just to add to who you already are. Like you already are beautiful, you're already strong. And so with my beads, I do go with color meaning. I do feel like colors possess meaning. I feel like when I look at certain colors, I feel a certain way. When I look at yellow, I am energized. When I look at red, I do think about like risk taking and caution. And so I do put those meanings with my beads. And I do encourage my clients to, you know, look through the site and see what resonates with you. And then like if you say my beads are for weight loss, then like hold yourself to that as much as you can and not like overthinking and like constantly like starving yourself. But when you look at your beads, whatever intention that you set to them when you purchase them and you got them tied on, you should continue that throughout wearing them. That's pretty much like how it started. It's been pretty much going, you know, okay. It's really been kind of like it's not, you know, I can quit working today or nothing like that. I wish. And I think at first that was never my intention, was to do it full time. My long-term goal is I really want to be a lactation consultant and I want to kind of find a way to put that together. I'm just trying to get my current job to pay for me to become a lactation consultant. I can leave and then work for myself. So yes. A lot of money. So but COVID, it's just been kind of a mess with classes, but I do want to pair those together because that is my long-term thing, is to continue to be a support for moms. Like our rate, and I think working this new job, our rate in America of maternal and infant mortality is ridiculous. Like third world countries are better than us, who we have all these resources and these intelligent doctors, and we're like, our moms and babies are dying, and Black moms and babies are dying 4 times faster than that. And like, that's crazy. We're not breastfeeding because, and they're, you know, our families are, you know, you think about like our mom and grandma, they didn't because they were traumatized because they great grandma had to breastfeed, you know, as a slave. So there's so much that was taken from us. And especially when it comes to childbirth and what we know and what we allow. I have so many moms I work with who are told they be 20 weeks pregnant. They already got C-section scheduled. Why? Why do you already have a C-section schedule because it's basically that sounds to me like the doctors being lazy. Okay, well, my last baby, but that was the last baby because I had a C-section and I had a successful VBAC with my daughter because my midwife allowed me to labor. She allowed me that time to have the birth that I wanted. And so I really want to connect in like the waist beads because that's something, you know, a lot of most goals for moms is after they have a baby, they kind of want to get back down. And so it all kind of ties in together for me and how I think about it. And so that's like my long-term, what I see happening once I can figure out how to get them to pay for it.
I appreciate you for sharing that. Thank you so much, Gena. I want to touch base on something else that you said and ask Sheeta if she had any insight on it. You mentioned a lot about what you knew and did not know. Basically, that's what I got out of it. So my question to Sheeta as a mental health specialist is learning about the different symptoms and postpartum that women can go through, or just emotions in general, just the different mental health things that are out there. Do you feel like it is lacked in the Black community that we know what these terms are? Like some women don't really know that they're going through postpartum depression because they just don't know what it is, or postpartum anxiety, or, you know, like I hear a lot of times that people are saying like, you know, depression is real now. I'm one of those people speaking from experience. Like I've never been clinically diagnosed with any mental health illnesses, but as I read as a social worker and I work with clients, and now like Gena said, when you become a mother, you just have these different emotions, things that you experience, things that you never thought you can experience. And as I'm reading through some of these mental health illnesses, I'm like, wow, maybe I am experiencing that. So have you had this experience with clients where they come in and just never heard of these things or didn't know that they can get this kind of help to help them with whatever they're experiencing?
Yeah, of course. I feel like mental health in general within a Black community, there's just such a stigma around it. So people are not educated on it. I remember when I first started Blossom Brown Beauty and I was passing out I always tell a story because it's so funny. I was passing out flyers in Harlem to people on the street, and I seen a man and he was with a young girl, and I said, "Hey, is this your daughter?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Hey, I'm starting a program for targeted for Black girls to actually discuss, you know, their mental health and their needs." He said, "My daughter doesn't have mental health." I said, "Your daughter doesn't have mental health?" And it kind of took me aback because I said, we all have mental health. Our emotional well-being is our mental health. You mean she doesn't have a mental health issue? Like, people are so far, like they're so separated. They don't know the terminology. So as soon as they hear mental health, they're like, "You're saying I'm diagnosed with a mental illness?" Like they don't know the verbiage, the terms. So that's another thing that Blossom Brown Beauty does. We educate you on the specific terms, because a lot of times, even now, people are like, "Oh, I have depression." Who told you you have depression? Like, tell me, why do you feel like people are self-diagnosing? And that's where things become tricky, because you have to determine, you know, you can have a sad moment, but are you depressed? What makes you like, and I try to, you know, because I don't want to be that person like to come off as judgmental, but being professionally trained in it's like, this is my background. Like, I know what I'm doing, and people diagnose themselves so much. It kind of gets me, because when someone actually is clinically diagnosed, people are not really taking them seriously, because so many people are throwing around these terms now. "Oh, I have anxiety. Oh, I have this, I have that." Why? Tell me your symptoms. Let's talk. Let's talk about this. Like, what makes you think that you have these things? And is it because this term you've been hearing online? You've been hearing so many people on the TV shows say it. And that's another thing. They put this stuff on TV shows. They put this stuff in the media. So everybody now, they're just running with the terms. "Oh, she's bipolar." Why? Because she's having, what makes this person bipolar? So I think a big factor that plays in this is education, awareness. We have to educate, because people will continue to throw out these terms and water it down. So when people who are actually clinically diagnosed say that this is their diagnosis, like people are not looking at them like, oh, this is another person, you know. And a lot of times within a Black community, we shove things under the rug. Girl, you just sad, go to sleep. It ain't nothing wrong with you. How do you know it's nothing wrong with, like, so I think I think education, and even with postpartum depression, people don't really know a lot about that as well.
Or
People
postpartum
don't understand,
because those are two different.
exactly, and people don't understand that you can actually still get postpartum depression. It doesn't matter how people think there's a limit, a time limit on when you can be diagnosed with no. And I think just educating our communities on this. I spoke about on Blossom Brown Beauty the other day, seasonal depression. Like people don't even know like that's a thing, and I'm like, it's just so much. I just want us to be more educated, and I feel like the lack of resources definitely play a part in why people are misinformed. So I'm just here doing my due diligence to kind of throw those little, like I do little quotes every day, my verbal flowers, and I kind of put like facts and this is research. So like some of them are quotes from me, like I'm just saying different quotes, but a lot of the stuff too also is research. Like I'm not just pulling stuff out of my behind. Like I'm giving statistics on the rates that are increasing with the suicide rates within the Black communities. You know, some people don't know about that. So I just think the more we educate our communities and give them the information and the tools, it can kind of help improve on what we know. I feel like once you know better, you can do better. I can't judge you when you don't know. Like if you don't know, and it's not my job to be like, oh, dag, they don't know nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's my job to reach back. If I have this information, why am I holding on it for myself? Give it to other people. Give it to other people. Like I can't do nothing with this. Like it's my duty to reach back and give it to the other young Black girls. Give it to Black men, give it to whoever. I'm here to help the community, not just hold on to it. So,
and I think I like hearing about what you're doing, because somebody can sit in your face every day and tell you you're beautiful, you this, you can do that. But if you don't feel that about yourself, it doesn't matter. So you taking young Black girls and giving Black people this information so they can have their own opinions of themselves. That's how you know, somebody can tell you you look good and this every day, and that's not going to build up your mental health if you think less of yourself. And so I think that even goes in with being moms, because one little thing can happen. Because like we hear stuff on TV that moms have done, and you know they've around kids and stuff like that, and it's bad. And the first thing we want to kind of do is like, that was a terrible mom and this, but we don't know what the heck she had going on or what was in her mind or what. I mean, we beat ourselves down about stuff so much. And it's like moms who like, I mean, I would never beat my kid, but sometimes when my 4-year-old do something, I'm like, I can see how mamas be tearing y'all up, because why would you do that? Like people like, I would never do. And it's times where like I'm asleep, because he wakes up in the middle of the night sometimes and I'm asleep and he's constantly bothering me, and I pop up and I'm like, I could have just snapped you right there because you messing with my sleep. So like I can see how moms can get to that point, and admitting that there's nothing wrong with that if it can help you, you know, get it together in your own mind so that you don't do anything that can hurt your child or hurt yourself or get to that point. But it's shameful so much that people don't talk about it, and they just in their own head beating themselves up about it. Why do I have these thoughts? Why do I have these feelings? When they just need to get it out and talk about it and sort through those things. So I think what you're doing is awesome, because that, and even how you phrase it, like, why do you have this depression? Why do you have that? It puts it, because I was in counseling for a bit, it puts it back on them to sort it out for themselves versus you doing it for them. And I think sometimes people want that too. They want you to come in and want the answers, and that's not helping you if I'm telling you, you know, why you're this or just giving you a diagnosis. And so many places are just giving diagnoses, and they're not helping them through it after. They're just saying, oh, you got this, here's some medication. I have clients who are saying, I have this and I have that. When was the last time you seen a person and got diagnosed? I was 8, they 35. Girl, you probably, that stuff, You need to go and talk to somebody again, because that was a long time ago, and that may not be, you may not be at that point at all, or it may have gotten worse and you wouldn't know because you were 8 years old when you got that diagnosis. They give Black kids diagnosis every day, all day, whatever, they say anything on a piece of paper to diagnose you with something. So
so many of our Black youth are diagnosed with ADHD. Every time I go through a IEP plan or treatment plan, ADHD. Why? And how many years has this been? And what medication? It's just too much. And I'm just like,
3.
you can't.
Yeah, he's hyper. He's 3. He's a kid. Boys are automatically going to be more hyper. So how about we wait till if you get to 10 and you just really can't get it together, then okay, we may have something to talk about. But right now they're 3. So what else are you doing?
Can I jump in real quick on that?
Yes,
of course.
I don't have no certificates or nothing of that nature, but I deal with kids and work with kids. And what I've noticed with a lot of African American children, a lot of the issues that our children have are just cultural. The teachers don't look like them, they don't live like them, they don't speak like them, and they can't relate to them. So it's not even the fact that they are ADHD. You just don't know how to deal with a Black child, period.
True.
As a school bus driver, I drive the Black routes. I call them the Black routes because that's primarily what they be. And I have watched my Hispanic and white coworkers and colleagues get on those school buses, and for whatever reason, it's always turned up. It's always a situation. But when I step on that school bus, it's something different in the air, and I think it's cultural. They recognize me. They recognize my tone. I'm a mom figure, aunt figure, a cousin, somebody that they can relate to, and the atmosphere and with them is just totally different. So I think when they do start doing the diagnosis, they have to start looking at it culturally as well, because I think a lot of those misdiagnoses come with that. Some kids be ADHD, bad this, and they'll have rap sheets up the wall, and then I get that same kid, and nothing that they're saying is that child.
Yeah, I used to work with children with autism, and they're gonna have their spaz out, and they feel a certain way. You have to be a certain way, but at the same time, they know a lot of times they know not to be disrespectful, and you can teach them that. You can't, they're living with autism, but that doesn't have to define them. You can teach them how to still be respectful and how, when they're not having those moments, to calm themselves. I've seen it. And they knew when I was in that classroom, one boy used to be beating him down. Don't you come over here with that, because I know, and he was a little Black boy. I know you don't do that to your mama at home. So we just have to teach them. But a lot of times they're not willing to see us as different, to learn to, you know how education is now too. It's not individualized anymore. Everybody's got to learn the same way. And that's part of the problem, is they're not teaching kids differently.
True.
Anybody else out there have any questions or have an example of a time that they felt like they were going through it and misdiagnosed themselves, or they did correctly diagnose themselves, or the doctors diagnosed? Anybody have any stories or questions?
I don't mean to jump in, but Ishanna, she's an educator. So I want her to speak a little bit about, because the work that she does, honestly, with education, and I just want her to speak a little bit about what we were just talking about with education, and how a lot of times everything is, just talk, Ishanna. Ishanna, this right here, I think this falls in line with what she does. So I think Nay right now, just give us a little insight real quick.
Well, to piggyback off of the lady with the kids being diagnosed, or culturally, it's probably a cultural thing, and I believe that as well. And half of the time, the evaluators who are diagnosing these kids do not look like them. So when they're in the room being evaluated, they don't even understand how that child is behaving. They have no insight, no background knowledge. So they're in the room for like 30-40 minutes, and it's outside of the child's natural environment. So of course a behavior is going to be different, but whatever happened between that 30 to 40 minutes of that child being evaluated, whatever that behavior pattern is, there you go. ADHD, bipolar, autism. So it's a lot. I think they diagnose a lot of kids. They don't even come into the classrooms to really speak to the teachers or actually observe the children in their natural environment before they start diagnosing these kids. And it's sad. And also with teaching, we're supposed to, because I'm an early Head Start teacher, and you're supposed to have individualized goals, and your lesson plans are supposed to be target to these children and their individualized needs. But I be seeing colleagues in there, just everybody is learning the same way. And it's like, you cannot reach Tom the same way you're reaching Sally. It's just not gonna work. And I think that's where a lot of our little young ones are struggling. And we're just, as educators, we're just not reaching them where they're at, and they're getting poor reports. Even like little young ones, or they're expecting a child to sit on the rug for story time for 30 minutes and they're 2 years old. No, that's not an age appropriate behavior. It's okay for that child to run around and jump, because at the end of the day, that's how they learn. When it's time and they're in their natural environment, like they're doing center time, you can hear that child reciting what you was doing during story time. You're like, what? You was listening to me? But they're it's a lot. It's a lot, and our kids really struggle in the school system. And that's why I am there in an early Head Start, because we supposed to we serve low income families, and we're there to give them the Head Start they need, because by the time they get to the school age, public school age, the education, they're behind. It's a big educational gap that I myself try to close single-handedly. But it is so hard to meet kids where they're at, the resources that they have inside the school, or even from the parents. If they are not educated, and they don't have the resources, it's hard for them to help their little ones.
So I want to jump in. I'm actually an educator on the high school level.
Mm-hmm.
So I get the students when they've already been labeled, basically, and diagnosed, or misdiagnosed as it is. And so they're there with that diagnosis. And so I see them where they've been labeled that, and that may not even be the problem, and they have to sit with that for so long, and I haven't been in the school system for about 4.5 years, but I'm pretty sure it's still the same. Anyways, but so I remember one student I had, I think my first or second year of teaching, but he was diagnosed as and help me, Ishanna, because I can't remember all of these sped ed acronyms. There's a ton of them, but they're horrible. I think it was like ODD. It's like the
defiant, something like that.
Yeah, but basically, an ODD is like the worst behaved individual ever, kind of, right? And he was Black. He was a Black student, and he was in 9th grade. And it's like anytime he went into another classroom, we hear the teachers always have something bad to say about him. He just can't sit still. He can't do this. All of these can'ts. He come in my classroom, he act a fool. He knew not to act a fool in. It was a whole different, I had him on a whole different spectrum. And then I had, and you have the co-teacher in there, and she said to me, this is the most well-behaved he's ever been, when he's in your class. I'm like, I wonder why. Because like you said, it's a cultural thing. And first of all, maybe he doesn't even have that diagnosis. Maybe y'all just don't know where to meet him, where he's at, and talk to him how he needs to be talked to, to get to him and reach him where he needs to be reached. Instead, you diagnose him as an ODD student just because, white teachers don't know how to handle him or don't know how to communicate to him, so that he can learn in a way that he needs to learn, you know, and it's talking about differentiation, where how all of our students are supposed to be learning differently. I went to a school where when I got my education, my bachelor's, where I had to take a program differently that taught differentiation. It taught me how to differentiate for all those different schools. All the other teachers aren't getting that. So those teachers that are out there, they're not getting those kinds of educations that they need so that they can teach instruction to differently to the students how they need to, so they can learn the student, teach the students where they need to be, how the way they need to be taught. You know, so it's sad what's going on out there. You know, my degree is like a bachelor's in education with and it has to say culturally, an urban, it says urban concentration, urban education concentration. Why does that have to, why do I have to have something like that? For me to understand how I have to differentiate my students, how I have to meet the students' needs, how I have to communicate with the parents, how I have to communicate with the children. Why do I have to have a special education differently? Why can that not be all around for all of our educators?
And it's home life, that hierarchy of needs. He could be acting out because he's hungry. And
yes,
they don't see that because we do this thing, it's a tour around St. Louis, and we go through the ghetto, and basically how I explain it is try to get white people to be sad for Black folks. I hate it. And I explain it to them, and they always crack up in the meetings. Well, it's serious, and that's what we're doing. But there's a school here called, it's Jenny School District, and this guy, he's the superintendent, and he's really good. Like, since he's been superintendent these past 3 or 4 years, all his students have graduated, and when they graduate, if they don't go to college, they go into community college, or they have a job, some type of trade. Every student in the senior class for the past few years has done that. And this lady was talking about his school district, white lady, and she was like, yeah, I had a friend who worked there, and she was saying how they just want to love on the kids, and there's not enough learning. They're hugging on them, and they're, you know, she feel like it's just so much coddling. I said, but yet for the past 3 or 4 years, these kids are all graduating, and these kids are having jobs, going and successfully going. They're not just going to college and then the next year they at home. They're going to college and succeeding. I said, so maybe the issue is she needs to learn how that's what you have to do for our kids, because some of our kids in that area don't have cars, and they don't have lights, and they don't have food. So those other things within their lives, they may not get that love at home if mom is working 2 jobs and she has to make sure that the lights are on and they have food. So if the school can do that first and then teach on the back end, what's wrong with that? And they don't get that because they live on the outskirts in the suburbs, and they don't have to deal with any of that. So they can't wrap their mind around how our kids are hungry. They look at that as abuse, and that's when a hotline comes in unnecessarily, because they just don't get that mom is trying. It's just not, things aren't meeting up. And that's how they get those diagnoses. And by the time they're in high school, like you were saying, my husband's a high school music teacher. They're stuck with that in their identity. They'll tell him, well, I didn't do that because, you know, I'm ADHD, Mr. Stringer. I didn't do that because, you know, I got this diagnosis. And that's crazy. But by high school, that's who they are, and it's going to take forever to even tell them anything different. It's just sad.
Those labels, they will run those labels to the end. That becomes their identity. I got ADHD. I'm depressed. I'm this, I'm that. But they see those IEP plans, and not only that, schools don't make it better. Sometimes you have them. Everybody knows the special classes. They know the special ed class. They know the people who get extra time during a test. They know because you put it out there. So since it's no secret, and most people too, a lot of people, when I was growing up, if you were in special ed, they say, oh, it's because I'm bad. I'm in this class because I'm bad.
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Like
I
that's
remember that.
I'm bad.
But,
I'm
see, for
I
me,
fight a lot.
And they would act bad to stay in that class. So you would think that. And I think back on it, I'm like, they were bad, but they were doing that so that could match what they saying, because it was more embarrassing back then to, you know, have a reading issue or something.
Yeah, I know. I definitely had an IEP growing up, and I didn't understand why I was being pulled out of class. But see, like I said, I was like the nerdy, geeky. I didn't get it, but to me, it was cool. I'm like, hey, I get to go out with this lady, and she gives me snacks and stuff, and we have a good old time. This stuff. So to me, I was embracing my IEP, and now as an adult, I'm not like ashamed to say that, but like Gina saying, back in the day when you're young and you're getting pulled out, it's kind of like you're being teased, so you don't really want to say anything. But I appreciate it because it actually helped me. By the 7th grade, I was in advanced math. I got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree now, so the IEP helped in some way. But I think we have to change the trajectory of how we view the things in our culture. You know, people were saying you're dumb or you're not smart and you misbehave. But really, it's just a resource that you need. And then for the ones who are misdiagnosed, as parents, we have to educate ourselves to see, does my child really need this? I mean, I've talked to people before who's fighting for an IEP, can't get one. And then you got a parent over here who has an IEP, but the kid don't really need the IEP. So how do we work together to get the understanding and get the right diagnosis?
I believe that at some point, we really have to work with this as well, because a lot of them don't know how to deal, have the capability, or have mental health issues themselves. As for my son, like, he had an IEP, right? He doesn't know he had an IEP. He doesn't know that he was getting extra help. He doesn't know that anything was different beyond him, because I didn't allow him to know that, because I didn't want him to carry that label. That label was very, very, very dangerous to me. So I didn't allow that to happen with my son. But I had the mental to acknowledge it. I have the strength and the capability to set things in place to where I can help him, and he wasn't able to be placed on blast because he was homeschooled to deal with that IEP.
Yeah, and those meetings.
Yes, phone's breaking up on my end, Kenyatta. I don't know if you guys can hear her. She's skipping on my end. We can't hear you, Kenyatta.
Right? And I have trouble.
She's driving.
Okay, because I'm driving to Vegas. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
She's in Cali going to Vegas, y'all.
A little better.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what I'm learning is I have parents who have mental health issues or challenges or situations that can't rightfully help their children because something's wrong. So we can help the children, but they're not going to get the full just of what is being handed to them if we're not helping the parents. You understand what I'm saying? So some kind of way we need to start advocating and getting some type of stipends or funding to help actual parents. Because once we're done with them, we have to send them back home. And everything we've put into them sometimes gets torn down. And then it's just a waste of time and resources.
Those IEP meetings are difficult because I sit in them, and when I was working in school, and I'm like, what the hell are we talking about? And imagine a parent like a kid. Yeah. I don't want to be embarrassed that I don't know what this word means and that word means. So I'm just going to sit there and nod and let you hand out this diagnosis. And I'm going to say, okay, that's what the IEP needs. Or maybe your child does need an IEP, but you need to fight for more resources for your child. But they don't sometimes because they're embarrassed as a parent. They don't even know what the hell you're talking about. And like, they don't have an advocate to explain what's going on. And sometimes the teachers are so busy, they done schedule 3 of them back to back. They're like, okay, you get that, you got it. Oh, okay, bye. We'll, go on. And that's just, it's not fair.
True. And to piggyback off what Sheeta was saying, there's a stigma around mental health. So the minute someone hear that your child may need extra support, sometimes the parents shut down and either they accept it or they just do not move forward, and they don't understand how that affects their child, their children. Because in early Head Start, we do early intervention before too. And listen, I would love to give my child early intervention. I'm extra, but these things help the kids. like my daughter was stuttering for a little while, and I'm like, oh shoot, no, she needs to be, I'm gonna get speech for her, because these little early intervention is just like an extra special teacher that's working with you. And before, because it's early intervention, you're not labeled. But when I try to talk to parents about early intervention and the support, the extra support, they're just automatically like, no, shut down, because they're thinking reverse. But when I was working at another site, this white lady, she had OT, PT, and speech for her child, and her child did not need it. But every time, it was every 6 months, when it was time to reevaluate her child, she used to downplay it just to get the extra help. And I'm like, yo, but of course her child is gonna flourish.
Yes.
Them white people, they take the extra support because they know, and it's sad because our Black and brown children need the extra support, needs it.
Yes,
Mom,
I can say that for my son. As my son's only 6 months, but because he was born premature, he was recommended to go to the early intervention program. And now, at the beginning, I felt like it was definitely because of the ladies that put in a recommendation. It was her bias and also her prejudice, because of the encounters we had while we was in the NICU with her. It was just it was very judgmental upon her first meeting us. Like, you just met me today, and already you see this is wrong, that's wrong. He's not using the bottle right. This was his the OT, the occupational therapist, who was helping with the way he drinks the bottle. So I went along with it. Again, I'm a social worker, so I know these things. I learned this in the classroom. So I said, okay, I'll accept the recommendation, the referrals for early intervention, even though I felt like, you're just doing this because of your personal thoughts of us as a couple. But in the end, it ended up being a good benefit for us. There are times when I'm learning from the early intervention program. I'm learning from the women who are helping us, so I do feel like, at times we fight back, like, I don't need this, but sometimes you have to accept it and see, can it really benefit me? And then if it is, just take that advice, take that support, and not think about because of the color of your skin or because my culture doesn't do this, when really it could be helpful for you, so I think that it is good that there are programs out there. It's just that we need to be more trustworthy in it. And then also it has to be more of our culture in these fields. So if we get more Black therapists out there, more occupational therapists out there, more physical therapists, then maybe our culture will be more willing to participate in these things. Like this right here, this could be considered a mom's therapy group right now, but we're not seeing it as that. We're just having a good old time and we are enjoying ourselves. And it's
I ain't seeing it as that. I am.
Say it again.
Well, Nate, you want to do a raffle real quick off? She said, Yana said she's about to get off. We can do the raffle real quick. That way she can go.
Yeah. So let's go ahead. We did promise a free strand of waist beads for a participant tonight. So we do want to go ahead and do that. After Gena does the raffle, we'll go ahead and open up for questions and we'll end it there. So the way the raffle is going to work, I believe Gena has a special app on her phone. She has everybody's name in there. Spin the wheel and it's randomly selected. You give her your information and she'll mail it out to you.
All right. Let me press this. Hopefully this is what I need to do. No, that ain't how it's being. Hold on. I have my screen split. Let me go into full screen with this wheel so I can see what's going on. Oh, okay. You can hear all of that noise and that's so extra. I don't want to say it. Is it Imani? Imani? I don't want to say it wrong. Is she still in here? Maybe not.
It's actually Imani.
Okay, I didn't want to say it wrong.
So, but it's me. But I had my daughter on Zoom, so that's my daughter's name.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you can put your email in the chat, and then I will email you to tell you which ones you can look at and all of that. And then yes, and how to measure all that good stuff.
Okay.
Yes, congratulations.
Yay, thank you. I never
Yeah.
win anything. I'm shocked.
See, no, no
You won something
beginning.
today, baby.
It was Imani's name. It was Imani's name.
Hey, we gotta use the kids, right? They come in handy for something.
She was on remote learning all last week because the school, their boiler broke, so they were out of the school.
Oh, wow.
And so I had her on there, so I've been putting her name in there. So now when I logged on, I was like, "Who's Imani?" Like, at first I was like, "Whose name is Imani in this group?" And then I was like, "Oh, that's me."
All right, you guys. Good night. It's been a pleasure. You guys have a great evening.
You too.
I will
Drive
see you guys
safely.
next week.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
So did anyone have any questions for Gena or Ashley, or just wanted to share anything in general? Because we're talking here about becoming yourself. Like, how do you heal from this? How do you empower others and then still be resilient while doing it? You know. So, are there any last minute things people want to talk about?
Ishanna, I'm sorry. I'm gonna put her on the spot really quick because this queen right here, she's an educator and she actually just recently launched her own business. So I would love for her. And it's about education as well. And we all have kids, so I think it's dope what she's doing. If she can talk a little bit about what she has going on. Just
Yes,
I don't want
to hear it.
I'm just saying it's a great networking experience. So
Thank you, sis. You always look out. But I have a business, Intentional Mind, and you can follow me on find me on Instagram at Intentional Mind LLC. And the business is like a education consultant business where I educate moms or parents and even young ones on how to be educational and make education choices to help their kids in school or throughout the home. And I started this business because I realized that not everything you need you're going to have to purchase for the kids. Sometimes whatever you need is right there in the home, and you just have to be intentional about it. So it's just me trying to educate parents and little kids on how to have an intentional mindset. So it's like little examples, like my daughter, when it's time to wash dishes, right? And always include the kids. We tend to put them to the corner and let them go on iPad, but no, be intentional about everything, include them in. So if I'm washing the dishes and it's finished drying, there goes Shenaya. She's next to me and she's sorting the knives, the spoons, and the forks in the tray with me. So there you go. That's a math activity. You're teaching without even really teaching, because kids, when it's time to learn, they're like, no, I don't want to do homework, I don't want to learn. So I just give a lot of activities that you can do with your kids to be intentional, and they're learning without you even really teaching. So there she goes, sorting the utensils that we're using while we're washing the dishes, and you're spending time with your child. So the business is just to educate parents on how to make more intentional choices and little activities for the little ones to keep them engaged. Yeah.
Like an app.
Oh, dope.
How old is your daughter?
Actually put the information
She's
in the
2,
chat.
but that girl,
she's the smartest thing that you ever seen. This is the smart. Look, I know all babies learn. All babies learn if you hear Sanaa talk, Nana talks like a little grown lady. I'm telling you, the stuff that she does with her daughter, and she's go to her page, you'll see.
Yeah.
They are like.
Can you put that information in the chat for us?
No, she's 2 years old.
Oh,
if you have a website, can you put that in the chat for us, or like where we can find more information about that?
Have you thought about building out an app? Everybody got their phone, and apps are the cool thing, but that like you could do like a daily pop-up of activities or something like that. Just something cool to where it could be almost like a reminder for a parent to do it. Just a thought. I think that would be really cool.
That sounds really nice, because it ties back into everything that we were talking about today. Like right now, with a lot of the parents who have children that are on remote learning, you're drowning in it because you don't even know the material. You're the parent, but I don't know the material. I mean, I don't have a child that's learning online right now, but I can just imagine like the way math is taught now compared to when we were younger, it's not the same. So to be able to have that resource where you can learn new things to help educate your own child, that's amazing. You're doing some great things over there, Ishanna. I'm proud.
Thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yeah. That would be,
I'm
I mean, I
trying.
would be interested in that because I'm always looking for things to do with my daughter, especially like creative things.
Oh,
I
you
have no
trust me,
creative
you
zone in
don't
my
gotta go
body.
far. It's right there in your homes. And one of the things that I actually was doing the other day, we have magnet tiles. You guys know about the magnet blocks, and it's
Yeah, I
Black
saw
history.
those.
Sinai loves
Yeah.
to build with the magnetized. So all I did was get online, print out some pictures of some Black innovators, some Black people in history, and just paste it and cut it in half in on the magnetiles, and then she just have to figure it out. And there you go. She have a math activity right there. She's learning about her history and she's matching. So it's a lot of intentional multi-purpose activities that I create to get kids going. And parents, come on, even with reading, we know kids sometimes they shy away from books. So what I try to do is incorporate meals. So if we're reading about the hungry caterpillar, then her breakfast would be a caterpillar. So we do a book and a breakfast where she's eating and I'm reading that book with her. So it's a lot of intentional things I try to do and multi-purpose just to get the little kids going. And once they're engaged and enthused, they're going to learn. They're going to want to do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I have a 3-year-old. She would love stuff like that.
So check out my page. It's the perfect page for you.
Check her out. She got little crayons, letter crayon. Look.
Oh,
All right,
yeah, I also sell a little materials with the intentional crayons too. So it's multi-purposes. The crayons are letters. So not only are you just coloring, doing an art activity, it's also a literacy activity where they can identify the letters and the names and the sound. So yeah.
That's
good.
awesome.
Put it all into one
Thank
thing.
you.
So while you got them sitting down, you're able to get it in there, then let's get a bulk of learning done rather than trying to drag it out. That's smart. Get the app. I'll get your app when you have your app.
I know.
I need that app.
The app will probably work very well. A lot of people and even children are tech savvy nowadays. So that could, be something that will work really well. It could work really well. Even with like, if the kids are doing screen time, but they have screen time that's actually educational and that, like you said, it's intentional. They actually focus on something specific, not just browsing and just listening to something, you know what I mean? So that may be something that you should look into. That would be cool. Yeah. Wow.
I want to wrap it up with this last question. I think it's a little deep question, and it goes back into becoming who you are now, becoming her. Can you guys speak a little bit about, do you feel like you are where you imagine yourself to be if you're 28, 29, 30, 35, 40, wherever you are right now in life? Did you imagine yourself to be there right now? And if not, explain what are you doing to cope with that? If you are, how did you get there, and what did you do? How did you get there?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
It is. I'm sorry.
I could go first. I think I change where I want to be and do so much that I don't even think I can say like, oh, a few years ago I thought I'd be doing. I thought I'd be making some more money. We didn't tell you when you was a kid, grown folks do not make no money, Lord. So besides that, I'm like ball and comfortable. Grown people do not make money out here. Especially doing stuff like we like to do. The jobs that sound like we like educating and helping, those jobs, which we should be getting top dollar, we don't make any money. And it's hard. This pulls on the heartstring stuff, and we getting paid like pennies. But that's a whole nother thing I can go on. But I changed because I see the need for stuff so much, and it constantly makes me think of new stuff that I want to do, or I can do that. And so I don't even think, I guess I thought I would like be really fighting more power or had solved so much stuff by now, and I really haven't. So I just wish I could not work. Like if I got the lactation consultant thing and I was able to make that make money and I can volunteer more and help more wherever I can go and just kind of do what I wanted. I think that's what I really wanted to be doing by now. And I'm coping with it because I'm trying as much as I can. But that's what I would like to do.
Rhashida.
Oh, it's my turn. I am absolutely not where I thought I would be at 30. Shoot, when I was 25, I said I was gonna be married by 25. So I don't even know why I thought that. That was
It's something
delusion.
with 25, huh? Because I said if I didn't have kids by 25, I wasn't having none. Didn't have a kid till
Yeah, I don't
30.
know. When I was young, I was like, oh, 25, I'm gonna be married. I'm like,
It seems so old. 25 just seems so old. But
yeah, I don't know why I said
young.
that. I was like, I'm gonna be married. I'm gonna be no. So I think I'm at 30. I just turned 30 in November. I'm not where I thought I would be, but again, I'm forever changing. I always got something up under my sleeve. Right now, currently, I am a stay-at-home mom who just recently quit her job at the hospital in November. So I did not think that would be me at 30. But me prioritizing my own mental health, I think that's the best thing that I could have done. So even though I didn't think this was where I would be, I'm happy that I'm here. I've always been a type, I will quit a job in a minute. Like, and I am so happy that I have that in my personality, and I can find a job in a minute too. So I think it just goes hand in hand. There's always a need for a social worker out there, but I'm tired of like fleeting and going into, I want to find something like, I want to just be happy and content with whatever it is that I do. So again, I can get fast money, but I don't want to do that. Like where I'm at in my life right now, I just said I wanted to be able to prioritize my own happiness, my own mental health. So at 30, although like financially, I'm not where I said I wanted to be or whatever, it sits right with my spirit. All of the decisions that I have made within this past year and going into 2021. So yeah, I'm not where I wanted to be, but I'm happy about where I'm at. So that's it.
Anybody else want to share?
I can share. Hi, Nay.
Go ahead.
Hi, Robert.
Thanks for inviting me this. I'm sorry I came in really late, but you know,
Anytime. I'd rather
never
you come
have
late than not at all. So I appreciate you coming. Introduce yourself and let us know what's going on.
But yeah, at least I caught the end of this. Let me answer. I guess for me, I am 33. Gosh, I have to keep remembering. I'll be 34 in a couple of weeks. So for me, I'm originally from Ghana. So I guess for me, I always thought I would be back in Ghana right now with my family. I didn't move back to Ghana. I've been here since 2005. I thought I did move back to Ghana and I moved back here, which I thought would never happen. I am working. I'm doing what I kind of thought I wanted to do, but I'm kind of changing careers, changing my life since I had my child. And I didn't think I'll be here, but I'm at peace. I am content. I won't change my journey in any way. I think my journey has made me who I am today. And my tribe has always been the same. So that makes me feel better that I haven't lost a tribe on the way. I've gained more. So for me, that was important to me, of always having people around me, always being there for people. And that hasn't changed. So did I think I will be doing what I'm doing today? No, I probably thought I had a child earlier. Actually, no, I never thought I would have a child. I never thought I'll be married. I've been married for a couple of years. I've known my husband since 98, but I never thought I was the marriage kind. I never thought I was the mother kind. And now I am here with a child who just woke up, even though I just put her to sleep. But yeah, she's with her father, so I'm good. So yeah, hi everyone else. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Did anybody else have any?
I'll say mine. So basically, is the question, are we where we want to
Where you imagine you would be
be?
at your stage in life. So it could be like 40 now, this is where I thought I'd be, or yeah, like are you where you imagine you'll be right now in life?
Okay. Um, I don't know if I imagined this at all. I don't think I mean, I think yes. I would say yes. As far as like things that I wanted to do and accomplish, um, they were a little later than I may have wanted them, but I feel like they happened when they were supposed to. So like, you know, I've changed careers twice. I used to be a teacher at one point in time, and then I also was doing social work and a lot of group homework and things like that. And then I went back to school for nursing. So that was like my ultimate end goal. So as far as career wise, I still don't feel like I am where I want to be in my career. At first, I thought I wanted to do like management stuff within nursing, but now they have a new law with the whole NP being having their own autonomy that I'm thinking about going back to school for that. Not sure yet. So between management and NP, but even if I do NP, I would like to have my own office and things like that. So I guess it still essentially would be management. Um, as far as life with children, husband, um, I think that was right on cue. Sometimes I say like I wish I would have my kids a little bit earlier because I just feel like I'm old and tired. But I also don't think I would have been prepared for them earlier. So I think it happened when it was supposed to happen. So I feel like right now I'm good. I'm happy. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I guess I'll share. For me, I think it's a little bit of both. Like I said earlier, I used to be that person. I was like 13. Like, if I don't have kids by 25, then I'm just not having kids because I thought 25 was just older. Like, but then I turned 25 and I was in St. Louis and I was dating my husband now, but he was a boyfriend then. And even still then, I was like, no, I'm not ready to have kids. Like, I still want to establish myself more. I was just driving. I was striving to have a better career and financially stable. So that wasn't really it. But then I started to get hit with a lot of diagnoses, a lot of chronic illnesses. And so that's not where I thought I would be. I'm like, what? Me with multiple sclerosis, scleroderma, asthma, vitiligo, all these things happen. And then when it's physically happening where people can actually see it too, it really just crushed everything for me. Like literally a month ago, I thought life was over for me. Like I quit my job last year too. Like Sheeta said for her, it was a lot. I had already miscarried twins. I lost those twins and I was in that position and I was going through a lot with my job. And then the pregnancy was a lot. And then we hit a pandemic. So I'm like, I don't want to lose another kid while I'm in this position. So I talked to my mother and my husband. I said, I think I'm going to quit my job. Like it's just getting stressful. And I took that risk and I quit. And I've been a stay-at-home mom too. So that's why I think it's a little bit of both for me because I did see myself being a mother and now I do have more time with my child. So that part I do love. The part that I didn't see myself was like not working at all. But that was a month ago. Now here I am a month later because of you all supporting me. I'm doing this group. I've also joined in with Pink Zebra to be an independent consultant where I'll be selling their fragrances. I can share more information on that. But I'm doing that now. And then I'm also still doing my hobby of customizing my shirts and stuff. I make this shirt. I do like wine glasses, things like that. But I'm starting my own business and I think it was helpful for Sheeta and Gena to share this story so I can learn myself from lived experiences on how do you maintain being a parent and also trying to start your own business. Because again, this is not, I always wanted to own my own business, but I did not expect it to happen the way it's happening. So that's why I say it's a little bit of I'm where I want it to be, but I'm not where I want it to be. So that's a little bit of my story. I am satisfied in where I'm at now, like my living situation where I'm living, I'm satisfied. Being married, it was a goal, it happened, I'm satisfied. No marriage is perfect, but we worked through it, so I'm definitely satisfied. And again, this group is small, but it's growing. And we mentioned it earlier about quantity and quality. And I was excited to have 50. She was talking about, I only have 400. Like, only, girl, 400 is a lot to me because I only have 50 members in my
No, I didn't.
going.
I didn't have 100. I only had no. The place held more than that. The people, I think it was like 40 or 50. Like, to me, because I spent, that place was like $2,000, girl. I done spent, so I didn't get basically I did the fundraiser to make the money back to help fund the program. I spent over the amount.
Oh no, we lost her. We lost her. But yeah, I appreciate you all sharing. We have 3 minutes remaining. Last minute question to Gena. If she'd hop on in the last 3 minutes, we'll let her have it. But I do want to say I appreciate you all coming in and trusting in this. This is new. We are in a new era, so virtual learning, virtual entertainment is there now. And so that's what I'm going to continue to do, more events like this. If you want to join in and collaborate, let me know. It's a free platform for you all. I don't know if everyone know, but with Zoom, you have to have a license to do certain things like breakout rooms and have the Zoom on for longer than 40 minutes. So that's what I did. I invested in my money to do that, and I'm sharing that platform with others. So you don't have to go buy a membership. I already have the membership. Let's link up together and we can all get together and learn about each other's business. And yeah, like now I know about Ishanna's business and I can share that with other people. This is how you network. This is how you step outside your box and you learn from each other, you know? And that's what I want to do, a free platform, because it's hard out here, especially when everybody wants you to pay for it. Even in these free private rooms, private pages on Facebook, you can't post your own event. You can't post about another group. They don't like you to do that, but we don't own these members. So that's why I created my platform. I got kicked out of these mom groups because I'm trying to just join in with other people. So I said, let me just create my own group where you feel comfortable. Gena can say, hey, waist beads, I'm selling them 2 for $5 today. Not saying I should really do that, but 2 for $10 or something, 2 for $20. I don't know. She got a sale going on here. Ashley been wanting some waist beads for a budget. Here she got it, a free resource. I'm not gonna reject her post because she's promoting her waist beads. Why would I hate on a sister? My program, my platform is sis support sis. So we all could come together. That's all I want, is a sis support sis village, so we can all have a tribe. And when I say that, there's 50 people in my group right now. That don't mean all 50 of those people are gonna be in my tribe, no. But it's a platform for you to create your own tribe. So again, thank you all for trusting me. This is helping me stay motivated and to keep pushing, to keep going, to cope with it. Because we have our moments, and I'm speaking from my own experiences. I've had those dark moments where I'm like, dang, this is it. It's not going to happen for me. I'm a nobody or something. You know, things like that are things that you're thinking about. And it's like, no, there are people out there for you. You just have to let them come to you sometime, you know, just let it be authentic. So thank you all again. It's 10 o'clock. I want you guys to have a good night. If you're not on our private Facebook page, I put the link in the chat. Join in, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you all for joining.
See you later. Good night, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.